So the last video it's been about 2 weeks real time for me, but I did finally get it to run, and I ran it a little bit after I stopped filming and did get it to idle. There may be a little tick in it, so the top end tear down, looking at that, still not out of the question. But in the last couple weeks, got parts in, got oil filter, a tube. I did pick up another front tire. I really want to find an aftermarket, the air cleaner guide, because this one's pretty nasty. But there's no aftermarket. The original ones are new, old stock, and they're expensive. So try and make this one work, and then I kind of made a makeshift gasket for it. So today I want to get the oil changed. I did pick up a battery for it too. So we'll see if we can get it going again, get the fluids changed, and maybe get this front tire off to get the new one put on. I've got a U+ maintenance-free battery. Trying to figure out why it's taking the starter fluid to start, but sounds like a good idles right down. So I'll let it heat up for a couple minutes and then bring it back in and get the oil changed. Alright, drain plug is tucked under there. It's a 19mm bolt. Alright, the spring and washer seem to be in good shape. Alright, the oil filter is on the other side of the machine. Looks like all of these bolts are all different size too, so I have to keep track of that. I don't see any, see some dirt and debris, but I don't see any chunks of metal, so that's good. Alright, new filter going in. Matches up on the old filter is kind of nice. They have it stamped outside, so looks like this the larger hole of the two goes on the outside. Put some fresh oil around this O-ring in here. It still seemed good. So the short screw goes at about the 2 o'clock position. Medium screw goes down below. And the long screw I never got out. Seems like you've got to take the whole back tire off to get it off. Alright, oil going in, using some 10W40 wet clutch. Capacity is 1500 cc's or 1.6  1 quart. 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 1 Alright, everything's topped off and back in, so I'm going to start this up, let it run, and I'm going to check the oil pump, or the oil seep hole bolt, make sure oil's getting pumped through the machine. Good fresh oil coming out, so we're good. Let this run for another minute and then we'll check oil level again and see if we need to add it. Alright, we'll check the gear oil in the rear diff. Mine actually still has the plastic cap. It's a 6mm Allen. You got brush and brush that off first. Yeah, looks like we were overfilled. It's not looking terrible. I am going to put some new fluid in there because I doubt it's ever been changed, or if it has, it's been several years. Alright, got the gear oil drained out. It looked really good, nothing metal in it. So it says the capacity on this is 4.4 ounces. So add some new. Alright, looks like I'm right where I want to be. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not, but I'm right to the bottom thread where it threads in. But I think where I got my information on the 4 ounces was wrong, because that was about 6 or so. So alright, so one thing I'm noticing is the front brake. So I follow this down. We're completely broken. So I think I'm going to take that entire cable off because I'm going to have to get a new one. So I've been pretty lucky on this so far, and I hit my first really problem as I was taking the brake off. That ferrule is just completely broke off, and it is stuck inside there. I don't know how well that picks up, but I'm gonna have to work to get that out to make this reusable. Alright, got the brake cable off, or that ferrule out of here. Ended up just taking like a hacksaw and cutting it in half, which it's already cut in half on the other side, so I was able to fish those out. Alright, I'm going to try and get the front tire off. I've never taken a front tire off of one of these, so we'll see how this goes. just turns, so looks like maybe just pound this axle bolt out of there, but probably jack that up first. But alright, that looks like it's gonna have a layer of rust in there and hasn't been lubed in a while, so I have to work on slowly getting this nut out, or axle bolt out of there. Got the axle nut driven through. It's got hardly any grease on it at all. So we'll clean that up, and then this came off the other side, but good news is I think the brake shoes and all that are in good shape, so just need a new cable to get those working again. Alright, got the front brake, the drum brake taken off, and got everything cleaned up. Kind of scuffed the pads up, re-greased. Pads were about the middle of their life for spec, so I went ahead and threw those back in. When I get to the back, if they need pads, I'll probably order the kit and do both the front and the rear. But I think the back brakes just may be a little sticky and just need cleaned up a little bit. Got new tire put on and a tube put in the back rear tire, so ready to get the front wheel put back on. Just using some marine grease for this axle bolt. Actually, this should have went in before I started. Put just a little bit of grease on these threads too. Torque spec is 36 foot-pounds. So when I changed the oil the other day and started it, you could hear the ticking pretty well, and it almost sounded like a valve ticking. So got it back to top dead center on the compression stroke. And I'm going to check valve clearances again. So intake is 0.05 to 0.09 millimeters. So we'll start with 0.05. That's really loose. I don't I don't have a 9. We'll go 10 and see. Yeah, it's set just a little bit above tolerance. It's about 0.10 millimeters, so I'm going to adjust that and then check the exhaust, and we'll go from there, see if that fixes the problem. Alright, I think that was definitely a problem. Intake valve was too tight. The exhaust valve was set too loose. I think when I messed with them the other day, I don't think I was at true top dead center. I think I was on the combustion stroke instead of the compression stroke. So I ran it through a few cycles and I'm going to check again. So I set the intake to 0.06. And that loosened itself again. It's about 0.08, which is in spec. Let's see what the exhaust is. I set it to 0.13. I kind of went in the middle of the tolerances. Yeah, we're still grabbing at 0.13, so I'm gonna adjust that intake one and make sure I get it set on about 0.06 and it doesn't loosen up. And then we'll put everything back together and go from there. I think that may have fixed it. Sounds good. And man, I think I got lucky there. I think that was the issue. Alright, so I just ran this a little bit, got up to 3rd gear. It's smoking a little bit, but I wanted to check compression again, so we'll see where we're at on that. Oh yeah, much better on compression. We're about 130, and I think factory spec is 128, so we're right on with that. That's awesome. Alright, new petcock on and the new fuel line that connects the bottom of the 2 tanks, so got it undone. To slide through here. With a uni air filter. I've just got some foam filter oil. Alright, I don't even remember when the last time I worked on this is, but finally got some parts in to take care of the front brakes. Did a niche brake cable, and then finally got the compression spring for that brake, and then just some cheap these little clutch bolts. I'm looking at these tires, and I don't know how well the camera picks up, but the new front tire I got matches the back left tire more than it does the back right. This is the one I put had the tube put in, but it's definitely more rounded. So I think before I put the brake parts on, I'm going to switch these two tires, put this one on the back, because it'll match a lot better. Especially when you look at it from the back, you can definitely tell that that is a completely different tire. These two tires are both Carlisle tires. Goes past that nut onto that boot, so makes that spring pretty well useless. See if I can find a diagram and clear that up. Alright, so a washer fixed it. On the OEM part, this nut was a lot bigger in diameter than this one, so if you're going with an aftermarket one, that's something you may have to contend with, but I think we are adjusted good now. Alright, I think since I've got this wheel off, next thing I'm going to do is try and see what's going on with these back brakes. Everything moves free. So I wonder if it's just a little sticky in there and just kind of seized up from sitting so long. So I'm going to take this off and See what we're looking at in there. Alright. Got the brake cables free, took this bracket off, just these two nuts. Then we'll take the brake caliper off. So it looks like this bolt here in the 9 o'clock's got a washer with it, or the nut. Back of the brake pad. Moves free, but it feels a little gummy, so we'll take this apart and clean that out. Alright, I got the screws out. So. Alright, we're not. The rotor actually looks like it's in a lot better shape than I thought it would be. You can see, I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, you can see exactly where it had been sitting all those years. Just a little circle around there. Alright, we'll clean this up and see if we can figure out what we can save out of this. Alright, so there were 2 bolts on the back side of this cover that were holding the caliper on, but just got that all freed up, and the pads look like they're still in pretty good shape. Fish that one out. Everything's just kind of dirty in here, so kind of clean it up again, lube up what we can and put it back together, and then we'll take a look at the cables. I wonder if they just kind of need lubed up also, but I don't know, so far I don't see anything that needs replaced. A lot has happened since the last part of the video. Had some family stop by, so I didn't film while I continued to work. I threw the caliper parts in an ultrasonic cleaner and cleaned those up and re-greased the cam that's in there. But got everything adjusted, and the foot brake and the handbrake are both working, so looks like we've got full brakes now. So probably time to go take this for a test drive. Alright, brakes work. It's the first time I've had it in 5th gear, so. Alright, so the last clip, there's been quite a bit of time in between then and now. It was about January 2025, and we're now into October of 2025. After that clip, rode around, had a lot of fun with it, and then got to where it wouldn't start at all. And I figured out that that ended up being the O-ring and the choke was getting stuck. And so it was one of those things that I parked it to wait for those parts, and then 9 months goes by, and it just been sitting at the back. So a couple weeks ago, I got that fixed. I got the right O-ring, and then also the choke cable was just, it kept getting stuck, and so I think that was a lot of problems. So I took that apart and just kept shoving WD-40 down it and moving it until that freed up. I painted the front rack and the back rack and got new hardware for that back here. Cleaned up the chrome as best I could to get just kind of that surface rust off of it. Got it looking better. And then just really gave it a good bath on the plastics and scrubbed the grime off. They're in pretty good shape. They have where it's oxidized a little bit on the top there, but I think I'm okay with that for it being a 1983. So what I have left now to get this finished is the rims are in pretty rough shape. A lot of surface rust on those. So today I'm gonna get those painted up and then just try to find probably some little things to paint, like the foot pegs. I don't know if I'm gonna try to paint the muffler or not. Maybe this back hitch, but you start painting stuff on something like this and it's becomes a point of where do you end up stopping. So got to get that figured out. And then I've got a new Yamaha sticker too for that front headlight. And then I've also noticed there's maybe the regulator rectifiers going out. I've replaced the headlight bulbs in there. They were working, and then you drive a little bit and they blow out when they're on. So I need to check the power and see if that thing has failed and it's just surging too much power to those. So that's what I have going on for today. All right, for the rims, this is about the one that's in the best shape. So this is what I'm going to end up spraying at this Rust-Oleum high performance enamel. It's going to end up probably being just a touch darker than the original, but I mean, when you look at this other tire here, anything's going to be an improvement with this. For this tire, I'm going to hit it with this Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer. It's like a black primer. It's supposed to seal the rust in and kind of etch in. I've had good luck. That's what I've put on all the racks and things that I've done, and it seems to work well. So we're going to do this one and see how it turns out, and then use that as a blueprint for the rest. Alright, here's the before. I went with the index card method that I've seen to just kind of tape off the tire. First coat's going to be the Rust Reformer going on. This was by far the worst rim, but it's been sanded and washed. Top coat going on. Alright, here's the original finish on the right, and then one coat on the left. It's definitely a lot more metallic-y than the original, but I mean, as bad as that rim was, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. And I guess if I don't like it, I'll just paint them all black, but I think that'll work. Let this dry and then I'll give it another coat. And then since this rim's in decent shape, I don't think I'm going to spray that primer on it first. I think I'm just going to go with a couple coats of it. It's been sanded and the surface scratched, so it should accept the spray paint pretty well. Alright, so here's where we're at with the wheels. Definitely not a match for the factory color, but for being on a budget, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. You can definitely tell when you get up close to them that there was some pitting in there, but it doesn't catch your eye until you're right on top of it, so I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't painted anything else, and I don't think I'm going to. Trying to find a happy medium between, you know, accepting that this thing is 40 plus years old. It's gonna have some rust on it and all that, and I feel like if you paint too much stuff, then it just starts to make it look cheap. So I think pretty happy with that, and I'm gonna leave it at that point. Alright, got the new Yamaha sticker for the front headlight, so I'm gonna try, this isn't Windex, it's just the soapy water trick, and see how that works. And we'll see how that dries on there. I mean, the surface of this is just kind of raised and bumpy and oxidized, so I'm not sure how well that's gonna stick, but we'll give that a shot. The sticker did come with a 2-pack, so I guess if this one messes up, we'll try it again. Alright, so I think I've got a bad voltage rectifier just back there behind the air box. It's not charging the battery any on startup, and I've replaced the headlight bulb and the taillight bulb, and then as soon as I drive them for a little bit, the bulbs blow out. So we're going to try to test that here. So there's the battery without running. Got some test leads plugged in for the headlight plug. So you see, I think the max on here maxes out at 20 volts, so it's definitely climbing up. So I've got a new rectifier, so I'm going to put that in, and hopefully that fixes the problem and it's not like a stator issue. Alright, got the air box out now. We'll see if we can get this out without stripping the screws. I did spray some PB Blaster on them earlier to get that soaking. Okay, here is our new and it does not look like the wires match up or the holes. We'll see if we can make this work, but all right, to get the air box out, I had to take the lid off and then take all the clamps off for the air boots. And at the bottom is this little drain, so took that off. That gave enough clearance to slide up out of the frame. I've got the new rectifier in there. I was only able to put one of the screws in, so we'll see how that holds up. The pins on the connector were the same as the pins on the old connector, so we'll give that a try and see how that works. All right, test out the light again. Seems to be working. As you rev it up, the voltage is going down. Check the battery. When you rev it, so I think that's good. I'm going to let it run for a little bit and open the garage door and see if that number goes up. Alright, just took it for a ride, try to get the RPMs up as much as I could, and the lights still going. Tested the battery too. It's charging up to a little over 13 volts now, and not going any higher than that when revving, so I think the rectifier fixed that issue. that'll wrap up bringing this 1983 Yamaha Tri-Moto three-wheeler back to life. I had a lot of fun with this project and learned quite a bit along the way. If you've got the chance to breathe life back into one of these old three-wheelers, don't hesitate to take on the project. It's a ton of fun and really satisfying. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope this helps someone with their next project or brings back some memories when the three-wheeler was the king of the ATV world. Thanks again.